He added some flushes and Tornadus is still falling. I'm just throwing it out there.
And he has a Hearthflame mask now too. Okay.
Imagine what'll happen in the finals if he makes it there. But one step at a time, Justin.
One step at a time indeed. And I mean, talking about those accomplishments, 6-time regional champion Paul Chua. We know Justin Tang won the first regional championship that he attended. Most notably, I don't even know what to pick most notably, honestly. I'll give you something that's not on the slide. This is his BFL for championship points this year. If he wants to get any more points, he needs to finish top 4 at a regional again or get top 16 at an international championship. Yeah, so that's crazy.
That's your best finish limit, so you can only get your certain amount of points from continuing to do well, and you can only increase it on those certain amount of regionals, right? So he's gonna have to get top 4 or better at the rest of the events for the rest of the season in order to increase his championship points. And when you see how Paul Chua is obviously a great player, but Justin is currently on such an incredible run, 5 consecutive top 8 performances here. And the Regidrago, where he started this weekend, Gabby, as a kind of a Regidrago denier, right? Him and Chiliang Tang, they use it in the GC. Chiliang's all about it. And Justin calls it's not the greatest Pokemon. He doesn't believe, but now in top 4, we heard him in his interview with Rosemary, Justin Tang's all in on Regidrago.
I think a lot of people are coming around to the Regidrago train, and you can absolutely see why. It's that pairing with the Golden Go in particular. They cover each other so well. They force your opponents to answer them every single game. Gives you the freedom to decide if you want to bring them or not. And if you're in a situation like a game number 1 when you're not sure how your opponent is going to approach the game, I think you're more than free to just bring them both with some speed control, maybe a fake out support Pokemon, and just sort of see how the game is going to play out from there. They have so much offensive pressure, they can cover for a less than ideal start to a game.
Now on Paul Chua's team, one of the best trainers of all time, always renowned for his ability to use balance to the best of his abilities, and Calm Mind Raging Bolt screams balance like anything else.
It does, but it screams in the face of a Regidrago, and that's going to be a very difficult Pokemon to stare down. It could always terrastalize into a Fairy type, but if it gets caught by that Choice Specs Golden Go on just inside of the field, that's going to be a very tough matchup for Paul to power through. I think that's exactly why Paul needs to really consider leaning heavily on his own Ogerpon Hearthflame to counter that Pokemon and just hope that you can position your Pokemon properly. But that's basically how Paul always plays this game.
It's time to get into this battle, potentially the most anticipated battle of the entire weekend. Paul Chua, one of the greatest trainers of all time, versus Justin Tang, one of the greatest trainers in the Scarlet and Violet era. Justin, Regidrago, Rillaboom versus Paul's Fluttermane, Ogerpon Hearthflame.
And already calling the lead so well on Paul's side of the field, leading the Fluttermane to deal super effective damage to that Regidrago, and then leading the Ogerpon Hearthflame to threaten down that Rillaboom. Now, of course, Justin can go for a fake out into the opposing Hearthflame and buy himself a little bit of time, but this Fluttermane on Paul's side of the field has an opportunity to go for some speed control here, could just try and fire off a Moonblast into that Regidrago. Paul has the opportunity to start this game off the way he wants to.
Ogerpon Hearthflame will be the switch in for Justin, so wanting to match fire with fire here. Fake out into Paul's Hearthflame, and a Moonblast will be resisted into the fire typing, so great defensive switch for Justin, hardly taking any damage and stopping Paul from clicking any attacks with fake out.
Exactly, and I love that play from Paul only because you want to try and catch Justin thinking that Paul would not make that play, you know, thinking that, oh, well, maybe I'll go for Icy Wind, maybe I'll do something different there. But instead, Regidrago just keeping it safe in the back of your party, sending in the Ogerpon, who not only is going to be able to deal a lot more damage in this position, can also take advantage of the grassy terrain to deal lots of damage to that Fluttermane in a priority tier, ensuring that it'll move first.
Fluttermane from Paul's end will switch out. That means he does lose the speed boost that it got at the beginning of this game. The next time we will see Fluttermane on the field. One of Paul's patented Pokemon, Incineroar, loves using this ever since 2018 when Intimidate Incineroar first came out. Will get the Intimidate, but fortunately Justin is one step ahead by switching his Rillaboom out into Tornadus, and there will be a Terastallization from one of these Ogerpons.
Exactly, and it's actually going to be Justin's Ogerpon, so the Intimidate is negated for now.
Right back to a neutral attack here by the Embody aspect, boosting Ogerpon's attack by 1 stage, but it is into 2 fire types on the other end. Paul's Ogerpon goes for an Ivy Cudgel into Tornadus. No crit means no one-hit KO, and now Ogerpon with an Ivy Cudgel in response, but that is resisted. If you can believe it, that's still a lot of really good damage thanks to the crit.
But again, a great switch there from Paul, sending in the Incineroar to take that hit in place of Fluttermane. Had that connected with the Fluttermane, especially knowing it ended up critical hitting, that probably would have been a KO there. So still playing very safe, playing very defensively, and now can go for an attack into this Tornadus as Terastallization was just used up, and Justin's Tornadus is holding a Focus Sash, so you can flinch it this turn. And you could also then use your Ogerpon to try and start whittling down the damage on the opposing Ogerpon. This is also a great opportunity for Paul to consider going for a Sword Stance if he wants to try and get his own offensive power starting to build on his side of the field. He has a couple of options here. You do have to worry about, you know, maybe another Ivy Cudgel going into that spot, but overall, Paul is in the lead.
Regidrago swapping onto the field into that Tornadus spot. So you gotta remember, Tornadus is very low HP for the rest of this game. Wants to preserve it later for a potential tailwind. And now Paul swapping Incineroar into the Raging Bolt there. Grassy Glide has priority, but into a Dragon type does not do a lot of damage. And now Justin Tang with the Ivy Cudgel into Ogerpon on the other end. That's a one-hit KO.
And that wasn't even a crit.
No, that was just a regular club bunk.
Oh yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing about the neutral typing of that Ivy Cudgel into the Ogerpon is that if you do not match the Terastallization there, you will be knocked out. But knowing that Paul decided to bring the Raging Bolt to this battle, this is exactly why you do not match the Terastallization. You need to ensure that your Raging Bolt can Terastallize into a Fairy type Pokemon, so it is not an immediate auto loss against this Regidrago.
And now Justin's Ogerpon's in a tough spot since it's been intimidated 2 times, that almost forcing it to switch out this turn. Paul can take advantage of that knowledge, knowing that Justin wanted to reset those attack drops into Rillaboom, who doesn't want to see a Incineroar on the other end. Regidrago gets faked out this turn by Incineroar, so will not be an attack, which means Paul is absolutely free to click Calm Mind, boosting his special defense and special attack by 1 stage.
And playing it super safe as well, knowing that the Regidrago is either going to flinch, protect, or switch, so that the Raging Bolt does not have to lock in Terra that turn. Now, obviously, you are in a position where you're probably going to want to protect or Terastallize yourself, but still, giving yourself the option to switch your game plan up if something unexpected happened.
At some point, Justin has to expect that Terastallization to come out, but it's not this turn! Regidrago misses the Draco Meteor when Paul does not Terra. So now the one hammer goes into Incineroar, but it's resisted, hardly doing any damage, and Raging Bolt is still sitting pretty at full HP. Citrus Berry actually means Incineroar will end up the turn healthier than it started with that recovery, and the Dragon Pulse into Regidrago for knockout.
I believe that was also the Draco Meteor into the Incineroar. So Paul making a call there that Justin would not risk attacking with a Dragon type attack into this Raging Bolt.
Now Incineroar will switch out thanks to the Parting Shot, lowering a Rillaboom's attack and special attack and getting the Fluttermane onto the field for free.
What an incredible play there from Paul. Just again, 1 step ahead. Certainly a risky play. That could have been a Dragon Energy instead of a Draco Meteor, but it wasn't. And now the Raging Bolt is free to go on the offense and does not have the pressure to Terastallize and still resists the grass fire attacks that the Ogerpon and the Rillaboom have to bring to the battle. Fluttermane can now is free to use that terrestrialization if Paul wants. It is a grass-type terrestrialization, so we probably won't be seeing that in this exact board position, but it's a tool that Paul still has available.
If we know anything about Paul, he's not going to let that attack boost stand, and he will switch Incineroar back onto the field for another Intimidate, bringing Ogerpon back down to neutral, and that's something Justin definitely can expect. So if you're hoping Rillaboom does not get targeted this turn, if you believe Raging Bolt will target the Ogerpon, Tornadus at low HP can still make it through the turn. Here is the neutral Ivy Cudgel, but now it's resisted into the fire typing. No critical hit either, means it does not do a lot of damage. But yes, Justin does get to get Tornadus on the field without taking damage because that Dragon Pulse went towards Hearthflame.
And Tornadus can give Justin's Pokemon the opportunity to be a little bit speedier with an Icy Wind or a Bleak Wind Storm here. And I would almost say the Icy Wind is the better move, just so that you can deal a little bit of damage to that Raging Bolt in response, as it's still sitting on the field pretty healthy and has that special defense boost to boot.
Incineroar switched in, gets the Intimidate, and switches out so you can Intimidate Ogerpon yet again later on. So that means Fluttermane will swap into that position. Ogerpon spiky shielding in this spot, hoping Dragon Pulse goes into there so he takes no damage. Here's the Bleak Wind Storm connecting onto both of Paul's Pokemon. Can it get a speed drop? The answer is no, but fortunately for Justin, Dragon Pulse gets denied by Spiky Shield.
And I think Paul is just absolutely unconcerned with this Tornadus right now. The Ogerpon is certainly the bigger threat damage-wise, being able to deal damage on the physical side of things in addition to the threat of those critical hits. But at the end of the day, this Tornadus might just be free to sit around on the field and let these Bleak Wind Storms adding up, and Justin going for the more powerful attack to try and take advantage of that. And
Justin trying to be proactive here with a Rillaboom switch in, because you know that Paul is so likely to continually intimidate this Ogerpon that hey, get it off the field. I need to be in a spot where my Ogerpon can do the most damage.
Exactly. But as long as that Incineroar is sitting around in the back of Paul's party, you have to wonder if that's even going to come to play.
And now Tornadus, who has Prankster, is going to be faster than the super speedy Fluttermane if it went for the Tailwind to double Justin's speed. Rillaboom does come back out, resetting up the grassy terrain for the next 5 turns. No, Fluttermane does not go for an attack. Will just protect itself on this turn, and there's the Tornadus with the Tailwind. I think unless the Raging Bolt goes for an attack into it, no, it will target down into the Rillaboom. I think Justin really wanted Tornadus to get knocked out there, so you have 3 turns of speed boost.
Exactly, and Paul's just not letting him get that. And again, that's because this Tornadus really is not that big of a threat at the end of the day. The Rillaboom and the Ogerpon have so much more damage potential for Justin with those physical attacks, with the Grassy Glide priority now back in play. Not as important, of course, now that Tailwind is on the field, but still, that Raging Bolt with the special defenses, not worried about the Tornadus at all.
Bleak Wind Storm does hit onto both of Paul's Pokemon, gets a speed drop onto both of them, but remember, Tailwind's up anyway, so currently it's going to be really fast, and the high horsepower is enough for the knockout. Fluttermane really did not do too much here in this game, just kept switching out and then protecting and switching and protecting. Dragon Pulse into the Rillaboom, takes it down. That's a 2-hit KO, and now Justin and Paul both forced down to their final 2 Pokemon, but importantly for Paul, one last Intimidate.
I was going to say, Fluttermane didn't attack in this game, but it certainly let the Incineroar get all the Intimidates that it wanted to at the end of the day, and I think that's the most important thing here, as knowing that Ogerpon has taken so much damage and knowing that it's going to be intimidated as well, so it doesn't have the damage boost here, I think that this there's a win condition for Paul thanks to Thunderclap. You can easily Thunderclap the Tornadus for a knockout. The Ogerpon as well might be in range for a Thunderclap after the +1 from the Calm Mind earlier on. If Paul can make the correct calls here and connect those Thunderclaps, that would be the game.
Yeah, because you with Fake Out this turn, even if you protect, eventually Thunderclap is going to get the knockout there. So Paul Chua winning game 1, slow and steady, wins the race there. Just wanted to keep his Raging Bolt staying at full HP the entire game.
It did, but remember that Raging Bolt stayed on the field as a Dragon-type Pokemon in front of the Regidrago, which targeted down the Incineroar. That was the key turn of this game at the end of the day.
Yes, and then this Draco Meteor miss, as we're saying, into the Incineroar. Even if it didn't get the KO on its own, it obviously would have got it so low to the double target, probably, presumably, getting the knockout. Regidrago gets KO'd in response. And you do wonder how the game changes off the Draco Meteor miss, but also at the same time, you wonder on Justin's end, are you willing to just allow Raging Bolt to stay on the field again in game 2?
Exactly. Like, that would have been a trade of the Intimidates for the Regidrago, and just looking at how comfortable that Raging Bolt was, it's hard to say whether or not it would have made a difference. Going into this game number 2, I'm more curious if Justin is going to try and call the Terrestrialization or not a second time.
Paul Chua 1 game away from reaching the Toronto Regional Championship Finals, but Justin Tang certainly has something to say about that Ogerpon, Hearthflame, and Regidrago versus Raging Bolt and Incineroar.
There is Fake Out in play this turn for Paul, so once again, we saw the Regidrago previously just, play it very safe in this position, switching out and, just saving itself for a little bit later. I like the early reveal of the Raging Bolt from Paul here, as it really puts a nice little treat, a tempting treat, if you will, for Justin, knowing just how much of a problem that Pokemon was for him in game number 1. Yes, you still have to worry about the Fake Out this turn, but what if you just stay in on the field? What if you don't get flinched and you're able to just pick up an early knockout?
And there is no Fake Out coming in, so Paul trying to take advantage of the pressure that Fake Out provides by getting a switch into the Flutter Mane here. Remember, he led Flutter Mane in game 1, so that was an adjustment to swap it in now on this turn to get the speed boost. But now there is a Terra!
There's not only a Terra, there's 2 Fairy-type Pokemon on the field.
Oh, the Dragons. For those who don't know, Dragons, they used to be pretty strong until the Fairy typing came around, and now they do 0 damage from this Dragon Energy into both of Paul's Pokemon. But at least you do have an Ivy Cudgel into the Flutter Mane switch in for half of its HP.
What an amazing call there from Paul. Second game in a row, effectively utilizing that Raging Bolt, sneaking in a Calm Mind, and ensuring that your Fairy-type Pokemon are sitting in front of that Regidrago. I think correctly identifying that Justin did not bring the Golden Go in game number 1 and was very unlikely to bring the Golden Go in game number 2. So there really is no reason not to terrestrialize your Raging Bolt.
Yeah, because at this point, you know that, especially because of all the Intimidates, right, that the Ogerpon's not going to be able to do too much damage to your Fairy typing on the Raging Bolt, and you can just continually click Calm Mind and eventually get the Raging Bolt into a spot where it's too tough to deal with. Let's see what Justin is going for, swapping the Ogerpon out, potentially anticipating an Incineroar switch in here, so you don't want to have your Ogerpon intimidated yet again. We'll set up the grassy terrain. Thunderwave into the Rillaboom, and he's smiling there. Said, I'd rather Rillaboom get paralyzed than the Ogerpon, and Paul smiling in
Draco Meteor!
And Draco Meteor into 2 Fairy types. Not going to do any damage. Dragon Pulse brings Rillaboom down half HP. I think Justin, he's just so far behind from that turn 1 play that you got to hope that Paul swapped Incineroar on that turn.
Exactly, and that was going to be a Draco Meteor into the Flutter Mane, identifying that Paul was more happy to give up the booster energy boost than give away the Calm Mind boost on the Raging Bolt, which does make a lot of sense based off the play style that we saw from him in game number 1, but Paul is just so far ahead, I don't think there's any pressure for him to switch. Certainly have to worry about the opportunity to flinch your Raging Bolt this turn or the Flutter Mane, now that it is a pure Fairy type Pokemon, but still, overall, in a very, very comfortable position to just keep on the offense.
Regidrago saying, I've done my part, and then swapping out after clicking 2 Dragon attacks in front of Fairies for the last 2 turns, saying, I'm not going to really be able to handle these. I need the Ogerpon to handle it there. Fake Out into the Raging Bolt, stops a Calm Mind, or it stops a potential Dragon Pulse as well on this turn. So at least Justin does get it onto the field safely.
He does, and with Grassy Terrain active and with Flutter Mane having taken so much much damage already in this matchup, it's possible that a Grassy Glide from this Ogerpon will be enough to pick up the KO. Alternatively, this could also draw out the Incineroar in that Flutter Mane spot, and if Justin calls this in high horsepower there, could do a lot of damage and start to get him back into the game.
Yes, you will have the Intimidate, but at least it will be super effective to try to break into this Incineroar. It's just such an incredible Pokemon in a vacuum in general. Incineroar, absolutely great. But when it's in the hands of an elite trainer like Paul Chua, he uses it better than almost anyone else can. Justin anticipates that switch in, so he will Terrasilize Ogerpon Hearthflame yet again, boosting its attack with its Embody aspect, bringing it back down or up to neutral attack because of the Intimidate. Protect from Raging Bolt means even the Ivy Cudgel's not going to do any damage. Raging Bolt continues to not get hit in this entire set as Woodhammer goes into Protect as well.
Raging Bolt was such a problem for Justin in game number 1. You can see exactly why he was tempted to double into it in that previous turn. Just find a way to get it off the field. But Paul, knowing that it was likely to be a target, a very safe Protect there.
Finally, Raging Bolt will take some damage in this set, and that is a lot, bringing it down to under 50%. You'll have a +1 Dragon Pulse in response there, but the Flare Blitz goes towards the Grass-type Rillaboom, knocking it out.
So it's nice that the Dragon Pulse was able to connect to that Ogerpon and bring it down to below half its health, but we're once again in this position where you have to wonder how much damage Thunderclap will do. Paul could certainly go for another Protect this turn to get one more turn of Leftovers recovery and one more turn of the Grassy Terrain recovery as well, which, you know, barring a critical hit, it almost looks like Raging Bolt could take another Ivy Cudgel after all that.
Yeah, certainly after another turn of recovery, but this is something. At any point, Paul could switch the Flutter Mane back in as you try to go for a Dragon Energy.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, Regidrago also knows Earth Power, so I think in this position, you go for the Earth Power. You're either doing damage, which is always great, or you're doing super effective damage against the Incineroar, which is also pretty great.
Justin in such a difficult spot. Paul is just not letting him have any easy access to this Raging Bolt. Certainly one of the most important Pokemon in the entire regulation, and Paul is proving why. Grassy Glide goes into the Protect. Another turn, another double target into Raging Bolt's Protect.
And now this Incineroar is free to go for a parting shot to lower the special attack of this Regidrago. Send in the Flutter Mane, which is now going to be the fastest Pokemon on the field to help deal with the Ogerpon and open up the opportunity for this Raging Bolt to finally connect the Dragon Pulse with the Regidrago.
Now Flutter Mane coming back onto the field, no longer has its booster energy to it, but it doesn't need it since it is so fast. Anyway, you're going to be moving first. Regidrago cannot Terrasilize out of its very weakness, right? Because Ogerpon has already terrored this turn. Grassy Terrain does end, so now Paul can only get one form of recovery every turn, no longer doubling up.
I mean, that'll help for sure, but again, Paul just has such a commanding lead here. The fact that Justin just kept doubling into that Raging Bolt these past couple of turns allowed Paul to reposition and get the Flutter Mane back on the field completely unpunished.
And it's at this point for Justin, it's time to crit with Ivy Cudgel.
Yeah,
that's really what your biggest bet is. As even if Paul comes back to intimidate you or not, you need these Ivy Cudgels to start really doing massive damage into the Raging Bolt. Because if it's just going to recover, it's not even going to get the chance. Thanks to Thunderclap priority, taking out Ogerpon, and he's down to just a Dragon type in front, and his Tornadus in front of two Fairies. And this is really going in the favor of Paul the more and more this matchup is being played out. Tornadus will take that Icy Wind. You have Prankster as well, but the Regidrago cannot hit these Pokemon too strongly because it can't hit it with a Dragon attack.
Exactly, and Paul just showcasing the years upon years of experience he has in competitive Pokemon in what has been an incredible match.
I'm pretty sure when I just saw Justin click there, he knew this one's over. He Draco Meteors his own Tornadus. going out with style, just like the Tang gang likes to do. And Paul Chua will be moving on to the finals of the Toronto Regional Championship.
What an incredible end to the game. I love how Justin's able to keep smiling throughout this entire match, and a masterclass from Paul there on how to just really keep a very offensive stance on a very defensive team.